Welcome to the first edition of Two Sites Unite. I'm George Phillips with oilpressure.com.
And I'm Paul Dalby of fieldof33.com.
Good job. Okay, same format as One Take Only, completely unrehearsed, nothing, no outline here, nothing. What are we going to talk about? I know what we can talk about. The new qualifying format that was unveiled on Thursday. What do you think?
I don't hate it. In our text messages today, I think anyone that knows you or I are going to know that if we had our way, we'd go back to the old traditional way that worked well for however many decades it was. We're not going to get 4 days anymore. It's,
Right.
it's just the reality of
Never,
where we
never
are.
will. I mean, that's never coming back.
It's never coming back. I would have liked to have seen them go back to 2 days. When did they do that? It's like 98. They did it for 2 or 3 years.
During the what I call the dark days of the IRL, they did it for a couple of days. I mean, for a couple of years like that, like
Yeah,
in 98, 99, 2000, somewhere around there.
right.
Then they went back to 4 days. I know when I remember in '04 when Danica, she was on the what qualified fourth her rookie
Yes.
year.
Hmm.
Um, that was a 4 day format then.
Right.
And then they did the thing. Remember where they had the thing 11, 11, 11,
Right. And it
and
took them several years for that ever to work because it always rained.
because of the rain, right? But they did that. I think that was a 3 day format, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that was 4 day. They did 3, 3, 3, and then the last day was open for bumping on the whole field.
Well, there was one time when there was a 3 day format. It was Saturday, Sunday, and then the following Saturday.
Yeah. It like we said, it's changed so many times in the last 10 years. I can't keep straight what they
I
did
know,
when.
but
It,
but
it just seems like it's another attempt, I think, to try to, they feel like they need to create excitement with this. And,
yeah,
that's like the big buzz thing is we have to create excitement when I thought there was enough drama with the strategy before that I didn't think they need to keep tweaking with the
I
format.
agree. But I think as far as I'm concerned, the last format that they had from when did that go into effect? 14 until through last year.
With the Fast Nine, you mean?
Well, no, they had the Fast Nine
They've had that
prior to
since,
that. They've had that. I know they had that in '09, maybe
oh, we
sooner.
went back that far, the
Yeah,
Fast Nine? Hmm.
um, yeah, I think so.
I remember Tagliani winning the pole in 11 in the Fast Nine, but I didn't remember it before that. But
Yeah, but that was under the old format, though. I
right,
think that was. But this one, I think, started in 14, if I'm not mistaken.
okay. Well,
And
yeah, to get your question though, I don't hate it. It could have been a lot worse. I don't like anyone ever being locked in the field when their field isn't set. So I still have qualms about positions. What is it? 10? I guess technically 1 through 30 after Saturday are technically locked into the field. I don't like that because if you have five guys that go faster than the 30th place qualifier on Sunday, well, then you run into a situation where you don't have the fastest 33 qualifiers starting the 500. I don't like that. I don't like that situation.
no, you still do. Oh well, not if you have five guys going
Right.
faster. But I don't have a problem with that because under when I say the old format, I mean the one they had in the '90s and '80s and going
Hmm.
back. But you know, as you know, they had the first day qualifiers, then the second day qualifiers, third day. But when you got to the fourth day qualifiers, which was usually bump day, I don't think there could be bumping on Saturday in the traditional format.
Right.
But um, anybody was up for grabs. But it was weird that you could have been a first day qualifier but you were still vulnerable.
Sure, but that was one of the great things is when you were there on pole day. Yeah, you had 4 to 6 guys who were realistically running for the pole. But I can remember days when, you would have guys, you'd have like the Rich Voglers, the Randy Lewises, the guys that you knew were probably, if you lined them up in order, they were probably starting 25th to 30th or something. And
Yeah.
that first day, it was a crapshoot then. They would take a time that might be 9 miles an hour off the pole speed. There was drama then on that first day of, okay, I have to accept this time now. Is this time going to survive at the end of next weekend?
True.
And there was a strategy that is totally wiped out now between, locking guys in and giving them unlimited chances to withdraw, get bumped, and then requalify.
Okay, answer me this, because I'll admit I read the press release, but I didn't study the press release.
Hmm.
So on Saturday, when you're locking in positions 10 through 30,
Right.
those cars can all day long Saturday, they can make multiple attempts, correct?
Yes. Anybody can make as many attempts as they want on Saturday, time permitting.
Okay. But then on the Fast 9 on Sunday, that is one chance only, correct?
Yes, both the Fast Nine and the cars that are vying for those final 3 positions. It's one time through for both sets.
So the last row only gets one chance.
Correct.
Oh, see, I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
Uh, you
And
know, I,
what is interesting to me is that the order on Sunday for that slow 3, if you will, the last row, says it's determined by the original draw order, which I think is kind of odd. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you line them up in inverse order of their qualifying
of
speeds
their
from
speed,
Saturday?
huh? So it's almost like, okay, you will. So technically, you will have some bumping on Saturday because you'll have people that are bumped out of the 30th spot.
Yes. Yeah.
So all your strategy is really going to come on Saturday, but then you get your one last shot on Sunday.
Yes. Yes. So the only people that have to qualify again on Sunday are positions 1 through 9 and 31 through however many are left,
Right. Now
which I think is,
that's an
let's call it 38.
right. Well, that's an improvement because I thought it was just so stupid to have the whole everybody go through and qualify on Saturday,
Yes.
and all that did it got you into the field, but then you had to requalify for position on Sunday. That was just
That was
asinine.
dumb. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely agree. Yeah. So yeah, it could be worse. It's not what I would want if I was making the rules, but it could have been worse. I I still think the whole Fast Nine shootout. I think it's hokey. I really do. I don't get anything from that.
I don't either. I did kind of like it was exciting. You alluded to when Tagliani did it in 11. That was exciting. Uh, that whole Fast Nine. But wasn't there one time? I know not recently, but say 6, 7 years ago, that the Fast Nine was an hour, and you could make attempt after attempt so long as you were within that hour and jockeying around within the Fast Nine.
I think so. Yeah, I do remember that. But I think at this point they had usually cut it down the time to so short where you really didn't get more than one attempt. I think they've done that last year. Maybe they only did 45 minutes or something last
I
year.
think what it was, there was one year when it rained, and they just, they had a small window, and so what they did, they just said, okay, you're going to have one time and one time only for the pole,
Yeah,
and I think that went so smoothly they liked that.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So I think they stuck with it after that.
Wasn't there one year as well where somebody threw up a big time at the very beginning and then the rest was very anticlimactic because nobody got close?
Was
Was
that
that
Elio?
Elio? I was thinking
I
it
think
was.
I think it was Elio in '09, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't think it was that long ago. I thought it was in the last couple of years. When was Elio's last poll? 16? No, that was Hinch. 15.
You're the one that knows all the polls.
Ugh. 14 maybe?
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. I'd have to go back. It's been a while since he was on.
Because I was thinking Ed Carpenter was on the poll.
Oh, yeah. Carpenter was on the poll in 13, 14.
Yeah.
15, I'm drawing a blank on. Then it was Hinch. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, excuse me. Um, so I'll be a little more positive than what you said. I'm beyond that. I don't hate it. Compared to what we had, I like it.
Way better.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but I think it's a lot better than what we had because I could not stand what we had for the last 4 or 5 years.
I think one of the things that I do like, though, is that we've eliminated the problem we had last year that I think was the greatest offense to me was you had guys trying to bump into the Fast Nine at the same time as people were trying to just get into the field.
Yeah,
And I really hated that last year. And that really led to a lot of the issues last year with Pippa and Hinch being bumped out and Hinch. And the other thing, in the release today, it said qualifying on Saturday ends at 5:50, not 6 o'clock, 5:50. It is now February 28th, March 1st when this gets posted.
correct.
That is almost 3 months before qualifying. The time that qualifying ends on Saturday is 5:50, not 6 o'clock.
I'll admit, I was in the bunch that did not last year when we were there. I did not realize it ended at 5:50.
You're not necessarily paid to know those rules either.
No, but I pay attention to such things, and I don't know how that slipped by me. And apparently, last year was not the first year it was that way.
It was not. No.
So I don't know how I missed all that, but whatever.
Other thing to note that came out of the release today is the TV schedule for the month. So Saturday will be on NBC Gold from noon to 5, I think, and then it goes to NBC's Sportsnet or Sports Channel, Sportsnet, Sports Channel, NBCSN.
NBC Sports Network.
Okay, so NBCSN for the last hour on Saturday.
Okay.
Sunday from noon until I think it's the noon. The last both the qualifying events on Sunday are on big NBC.
Oh, really? I didn't know
On
that.
network NBC. Then they kick back over NBCSN for the 3-hour practice.
As I said, I did not. I know the press release came out, what, about 10:30, 11, something like that, Central Time. And I looked at it. I read through it mostly. I did not read every word, obviously. I did not see that about the TV schedule.
Yes, this was in the release, not from IndyCar, but from Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Oh.
So it's in that second release that came out. There's also a studio show, I think Monday night after the practice. So it'll be
NBC. They do that Monday practice.
They do. It's a reduced Monday practice. It's only 12 to 2 this year. Which, quite honestly, to me, I don't know why they're doing that. It seems like a waste to me.
Yeah, because I did see something where it said that the 3-hour practice on Sunday from 3 to 6 was going to be the longest post-qualifying practice they had.
Correct.
But I took that to mean they weren't going to have the practice on Monday, but they were going to have carb day. But I see where that practice has been extended from an hour to an hour and a half.
Correct. That's right. So I'm quite honestly, I'm not sure what you get out of that 2-hour practice on Monday other than it is closer to the time of race time than what you get on Sunday afternoon. The Sunday afternoon practice is going to start right around the time that the race will actually be
Right.
ending.
Because it usually ends around 3:30, and this one starts at 3.
Right, right. So you get 2 more hours on Monday. I think if you ask all the teams, I think they'd like to have Monday off, quite honestly.
Yeah. And plus, I would think they would want to utilize the drivers for their media tour.
Right, right.
So I don't know. They didn't ask us.
No, they didn't. They should have, but they
Yeah.
didn't. Uh,
Okay, shifting gears to the season's about to start next weekend.
yes,
Um,
finally.
yes, and of course I get to brag. Susan and I are going to the St. Pete race.
We'll have a
Never
good
been.
time.
You've been down there before, haven't you?
I've been there twice. It's been a while. I haven't been there since 2013, but it was
Yeah,
a
I've never been there, so
good,
I'm looking
good
forward to that.
your first street course, correct?
Very first, yeah. I've never been to any type of a temporary street circuit, so looking forward to that. I think I am. I may hate it. I don't know, but
That's a good time.
but um, but I know. Have you finalized your race schedule that you're attending live, or
I
at
will
least
be
the
at
first half?
Barber. Barber is my first one.
Okay,
Then I'll be at both of the Indianapolis events, all 3 weekends.
okay,
Um, after that, Iowa Gateway for sure. Pocono is likely,
okay,
and I haven't figured out what else. I'm still might try to squeeze in Toronto, but I don't know for sure yet.
okay. Toronto's on my definitely not list. For one reason, I don't have a passport. Um, but well, we're doing St. Pete, Barber, all 3 weekends at Indianapolis, Road America, which you still haven't been to yet, have you?
Uh-uh.
You need to. Um, those are all carved in stone.
Hmm.
Um, I think Pocono is likely, but it's not set yet.
And is that likely with the misses, or is that back to guys' weekend?
I think Susan wants to go. Well, you look disappointed.
It's a fun guys' weekend, but that's all right.
Well, I mean, I'm not even going to tell you whether it sounds like two guys in Pocono together.
Well, I feel it's almost a responsibility to get back. My first year going was in 2014. Was there in 16 and 17, which means I missed 15 and 18.
Well, those are 2 good years to miss.
Well, yes, but I feel a little responsibility for that.
Yeah. So, um, I'd say the chances of us going to Pocono are 75%.
Hmm.
And of course, we will definitely be going to Gateway. On the tentative list is Pocono because not carved in stone yet. But I am hoping to be able to go to Texas. Now, that may be a guy's weekend because there's a strong chance that I am already going to be in Dallas that week for work. So it could be that I can get a free trip to Dallas, just get my flight extended a couple of days, and make it there.
Well, I
So,
just found out this past weekend that I actually have my kids now for Dallas weekend, so not
uh,
sure if I can get down there or not.
so
We'll have to work on that one.
but anyway, so I do. I try to increase our number of races by one, at least one each year. So I mean, we may be up to 8 this year. I'm thinking.
Nice.
So
All right. But yes, 2019 season starts.
yeah,
That's good.
um,
It's going to be a good season. Not a whole lot of move at the big level teams. Penske's mostly the same. I guess Penske's all the same. Andretti's all the same.
Ganassi's all the same.
No, because we swapped out
Oh,
Ed
that's right. That's
Jones
right. Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're
right.
right. Ed Jones, everybody's rookie of the year.
So
Uh,
yeah. So
uh,
we got what's that? 8 out of the top 9 seats are the same.
yeah.
Which arguably the number 10 Ganassi car was 9th out of 9 last year.
hmm Yeah, I think that's going to be a good move because everything I hear about Felix Rosenquist is very positive. So
They looked good at the spring training in Coda a few weeks ago.
yeah, and I'm also I think Marcus Erickson is going to be pretty good. At least what are you doing? Um, but I'm anxious to see him. Um, the whole. Quite honestly, I'm almost tired of hearing about the Pato Award thing at Harding Steinbrenner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think you and I have a difference of opinion. Well, what do you how do you think Colton Hurd is going to do?
If I'm being honest,
You should be.
which I am, I'm not smart enough not to be honest. Um, I felt last year like Colton Herta was a little oversold. I feel like and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I feel like he was promoted much in the same way as Connor Daly was. That he was a lot of hype, and the results never really showed to match that hype. Um,
And see,
so
I'm more of a Connor Daly fan too.
I like Connor himself, but his results on track so far. Now he hasn't had a good high level ride yet, but so far his results have not necessarily lived up to his hype.
Yeah, if he does nothing in that Andretti car, I mean, I'm not saying just anything can happen in the race, but if he is slow in that Andretti car all
All
week
month,
in
yeah,
practice,
yeah,
and the other Andretti cars are fast, then there's a problem.
right.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know. I don't know what to think yet. But with Herta, um, I had forgotten that he broke his arm, his wrist or hand at Toronto last year, and that kind of set him back the rest of the light season. He finished second to Pato in Indy Lights,
Hmm.
and then he got shown up badly at Sonoma. But
But
there's a big but there that O'Ward had significant upgrade to his equipment.
yeah,
So
the
that's
shocks
not
and dampers.
not in any way a fair comparison.
Hmm.
Um, so that being said, I think we have to give Herta a fair shot. Now, the way he's performed this preseason at Coda, leading 3 out of the 4 sessions and all but about the last minute of the fourth session,
Right.
that's impressive.
Yeah. And
That being
that was
said,
just one fluke. I don't think because all the other drivers up there were the drivers that should have been up there.
right. That being said, do you remember the spring training for IndyCar last year at Phoenix?
Phoenix.
Remember who dominated almost all 4 sessions out there?
Uh-uh.
Graham Rahal and Takuma Sato. They looked like they were going to be a powerhouse all last year.
That's
Then as
right. I
soon
do
as they
remember because
showed
that was their first pairing together.
right, and then they showed
Yeah.
up at St. Pete, and it was the start of a very disappointing season for the team,
For both of them.
for both of them. Other than Sato winning at Portland, I don't remember any real memorable races for either of them last year.
Yeah, you're right.
Very disappointing, which
Grant,
is odd because that Rahal team has struggled several times when they've added a second driver to their mix. They seem to do very well with Graham on his own, and then they add a second car, and it just doesn't seem to work for whatever reason.
even at remember, I forget. Did Graham drive for once they made the move over to IndyCar from Champ Car
Hmm.
after the reunification, whatever? Did how many years did he drive for Newman Haas? Was it one or two? He and Justin Wilson were teammates, I think, the first year.
Yeah, and I don't think he drove for them the
No,
second
I
year.
think Graham did the second year, didn't he? And I think Dornbos was the porn king. Uh,
Well,
uh,
did it? Wilson had gone to Dale Coyne by the second year because didn't he win Watkins Glen in '09
yes,
for Coyne?
yes, yes. So Ray Hall was still at Newman Haas in '09, but I think Robert Dornbos was his teammate for part of the year, and they
Or,
did not click
Oriol
at all.
drove that car as well.
Huh?
Oriol Servia drove the McDonald
Yeah,
car at some point at
for a
Chicago.
couple of races, but then Dornbos came back, I think.
Mhm.
So I don't know. That's 10 seasons ago.
I know.
But um, um, but it seems like, and look back when Graham was at the Ganassi satellite team with Charlie Kimball, that did not go well. And I've always theorized that Graham does better as a loner than he does as a teammate.
Well, his results seem to show that. I mean, Ray Hall had some excellent seasons starting, I think it was 15 when they had an outing right before Indy GP. I don't know if it was Barber. I forget what the race was before the Indy GP in 15. And I remember that being their kind of coming out party. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
I do
finished
remember that. He
second.
finished second. Yes.
Yeah, wherever that was, if that was Barber
No,
or
it
Long Beach.
wasn't Barber. It wasn't Barber.
And everyone thought, oh, wow, okay, that's good. That's kind of fluky, but nice to see Ray Hall up there. And then he backed it up with the Indy GP, and they were strong the rest of the year. He got the win. He almost won Texas. Was that year he almost won Texas and
Yeah, when he crashed, did he?
crashed on the next to last lap?
And
And then he
then
won
then
Fontana.
no, that was earlier than that because that was the year that Justin Wilson won the race at Texas
Okay.
because Graham crashed. I think
Okay.
that was like 2012 when that was. But I don't know.
But
But
yeah, 15 Ray Hall Letterman Racing had an excellent year when it was just Graham. And yeah, they just seem to have struggled when they go to two cars.
so real quickly, because we've been going at a while, um, who's your? I'm not going to ask who's your pick to win the championship because nobody knows. But who is your surprise pick to have a or your pick to have a surprise season?
Well, I think both of the Swedish guys are going to have good seasons. It'll be interesting to see what Rosenquist does in the 10 because that car seems to have been down for quite a while. It didn't seem real strong when Ed Jones drove it. Tony Kanaan never seemed to quite gel there. And you got to go all the way.
Quite honestly, the only time that car ever succeeded was when Dario was in it because prior to Dario getting in that car, it was a revolving door.
Well, Dan was in the car for what, 2, 3 years?
Two, I think.
So yeah, you got to go back quite a ways.
But I think he looked at that his time there as a disappointment.
Well, he never won a championship, so
Yeah.
probably so. Never could defend his 500 win in that car.
Nope.
But who's going to really surprise? I'll tell you the guy that I'd really like to see do well, and he showed glimpses of doing very well last year, and I think he'll surprise people again, is Zach Veach. He had a lot of surprising runs last year. I remember talking about the last time I was at St. Pete when I think I first saw him, and he looked like he was about 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he still looks like he's about 14, but he's grown up. He had some good rides last year. If he can keep his car from catching fire.
But I like him not only on the track, but I like him off the track.
I do too. I do too.
He's a good guy, likable guy. I say that like I know him. I've never met him, but just witnessing his demeanor and everything, I like the way he carries himself. He's very
He seems extremely grateful and appreciative for the opportunity. He's worked his butt off to get back in that. He was out of a ride of any sort for a year or two, and then he went back to Indy Lights, swallowed his pride, went back to Indy Lights, honed his craft some more.
Yeah.
And then got the opportunity of a lifetime to get into an Andretti ride. He showed very well last year, and I think he's going to do even better this year.
Yeah.
Is he going to win the championship? No. But I wouldn't be shocked to see him, fight for a top 5. I think he's probably in that 5 to 7 range.
I think he'll win a race this year.
I won't be shocked if he does. I could see him winning somewhere like an Iowa.
Yeah. Um, that might be a good pick. I was thinking that I could buy into the hype and pick Herta. But I'll tell you who I'm going to go with. We were just talking about it a minute ago. I'm going to go with Graham Rahal to bounce back from a poor showing last year. And just for good measure, I'm picking Alexander Rossi to win the championship.
You think?
Yep.
It's a good choice. I don't want to. I've thought about it. I think Will Power is going to be very strong again this year. It's hard to think that Dixon's going to not be strong, but for whatever reason, he's never been strong following up a championship.
No, he's never won back to back, has he?
No,
Mm.
Now he did win in 13 and 15. He had the down year in 14, where Power finally broke through. But yeah, I think Rossi's going to be extremely strong this year. With the limited engine development, I think Honda is going to show very strong in a lot of tracks again this year as well. So are we going to see any sort of shift between Honda and Chevrolet this year? I don't think so.
But they were talking on Trackside the other night about Chevy at Indianapolis because it used to be you could count on, even if Honda was having a bad season, they would always, or not always, but a lot of times they would show well at Indianapolis where they didn't show well anywhere else.
Right.
And then lo and behold, they won the championship last season. But Chevy not dominates, but Chevy obviously won at Indianapolis, and they were also second, and also won the pole. So Chevy had the upper hand at Indianapolis last season.
They did, but later in the year when they went to Pocono, it was all Honda at that point.
True.
I don't know if they upped their game, if they, found something mid-season that helped them out on the high horsepower, high speed tracks. I don't know, but Rossi was untouchable at Pocono.
Right. And he had he not rear-ended Marco on the opening lap of Sonoma, may have been a different story.
Could have been.
But anyway, got anything else?
There's lots we could talk about.
I feel like I'm talking to John now.
Why is that? I feel like I'm talking to John. You just picked Graham Rahal to have the great season.
That's true. John McClellan, we love you.
I think you should point out. I think you should point out that beautiful picture that's over your right shoulder there, above the chair that's not painted.
The one with the
naked man on it.
With the 100 winning cars up there.
Nope. That one's off my screen.
Oh, okay. No, I know you took that photo and you didn't like it, so you gave it to me, and then you got yourself another one.
That's right, I did.
And it is over my green unpainted chair. Well, it was painted green back in the 60s, but or the 50s maybe, but it has not been painted since. So, but anyway, for those that are wondering, John and I do plan on doing a one take only next week. We'll see. I do want to show you this before we go. Speaking of 100 winning cars, I got this to show what a.
You got to move it over. There you go.
Okay. Well, now see it's reflecting though. I got this in the mail in this envelope this week, and it's from Red Lightning Books, and they are this book will be available April 1st. For $45. It's a very good book. I'm going to actually do a review on it on my site, but written by James Craig Reinhardt. Do you know him? I don't. I do not.
No,
but this publishing company, I guess they recognize me as a big-time motorsports journalist. So they sent me this book this week, and I'm just going to give it a plug. It's more than a coffee table book. It's got a lot of great photos in it. Of different books. Different.
Now let me stop you right there because you just opened it 2 pages. One of them was Mark Donohue's McLaren from 1972. The other was Johnny Rutherford's McLaren from 1974. Which brings us to a topic that we haven't discussed, and we may not have time, but just real quick, in 15 seconds or less, what is Fernando Alonso going to do at the Speedway this year under McLaren directly, although they're tied with Carlin?
Carlin with a Chevy.
with a Chevy.
I don't know.
Is
Uh,
it contender, disaster, or also ran?
Contender.
I would put them on the border between contender and also ran.
Yeah, that's what I was leaning that way, but also ran. I call also ran anything after 15th, and not just finishing order, but also qualifying and where they're practicing. Um, I think they'll be better than also ran.
So there won't be disaster, which
No,
would be not qualifying or scraping the barrel. I don't put them in the fast nine, and I don't put them in a top, let's say, top 8 finish. Surprised that what are they going to get from Carlin?
Carlin is a better team than what you're giving them credit for. How can I say this nicely? I think their team is better than the gentleman they have sitting in the cockpit. And that's both of them, Max Chilton and Charlie Kimball. Uh, I do. I think R.C. Enerson, assuming he gets that ride. I mean, I don't think it's been confirmed, but I think he is going to get a lot of rides in that number 23 car
Mm-hmm.
that Kimball will not be in. And I think that you will see a vast difference with Enerson in the car as pretty much a rookie versus 9-year veteran Charlie Kimball.
Maybe a fair point. Maybe
And
a fair.
I think that Carlin has succeeded at every level. Now, granted, they've never been at the top level or this level. I mean, I would assume, and I couldn't tell you exactly, other than Indy Lights, what they have been in. GP3, GP2, I don't know, but I do know that they have succeeded uh, at every level they've been in. And the prevailing thought, I think, is give them time; they will figure this out.
Can they figure it out before the gates open at the Speedway, though? And they have to perform and show that they are worthy of being a technical partner to McLaren and Fernando Alonso.
I don't know. It's a tall order.
It is.
Of course, since we've gone way over time anyway, might as well go over time on this.
We don't have time. That's the
I
great
know, but people are
thing
going
of
to turn
Scotland.
it. People are going to turn it off, and I don't want them to do that. But this week we learned of another tall order, and that is a brand new team that's hiring a driver that failed to qualify last year to be their driver. And this is nothing against Pippa Mann, but, she did not make the field last year with a very well established team. This coming year, there are going to be a lot more cars vying for those last spots, and she's with a team that has never turned a wheel, with the technical assistance of a team that has the potential to be a disaster at any given racetrack.
That being Foyt.
Correct.
There's a lot to agree with you on there. But just to be different than you,
Which is a good idea
normally so. First of all, let's start with Foyt. Tony Kanaan probably had the third, if not the second best car, if not the best car for the first 100 laps of the race last year.
Agreed.
If you take out the cut tire he had that forced him a pit stop and lost a lap right around halfway, Tony Kanaan's probably vying for that win last year. The Foyt cars at Indianapolis are not bad.
But if you put Pippa Mann in that same car that Tony Kanaan was in, where is that car?
That's a fair point. It is a fair point. She's not Tony Kanaan,
No.
but she has proven that she can qualify and she can stand on it when she needs to and when the job is on the line. When she qualified for a second conquest car in 2011 in a field of 42 entries,
Right.
she stood on it. And when it was time to go, she went out. If I remember right, she and John Andretti both qualified very late, and I think that both of them went like 2.5 to 3 miles an hour faster in qualifying than they had ever practiced before.
Yeah, you're right, and that was a very impressive run. And plus, she was the one-off driver for Conquest, but she qualified. Yet their full-time driver Saavedra did not qualify.
Correct, right.
So
And last year you said Dale Coyne's team certainly is well established, but how well established is their third and fourth car? And there was admittedly they found some problem afterwards, and I don't know that it's ever been disclosed what exactly that problem was, but something that structurally was wrong with the car.
I heard her say that, but like you say, I don't know what it was either.
Right.
But and she, you and I probably heard the same interview on Trackside where she did say that, she was normally she just puts herself at a bigger risk if she needs more speed, and she can, hang it out over the edge and get more speed out of the car and make the race.
Right.
She said this time she was going as fast as she possibly could, just the car would not go any faster.
Right.
There was nothing she could do to make that car go any faster.
Right. So, yeah, it is going to be a very tall order for this team. And this is a team, realistically, I think this team has to be realistic and fans have to be realistic. This is an operation that you would see back in the early 90s where making the field. Remember when Willie T. Ribbs qualified in 91 and he was literally hanging out of the cockpit after he qualified, high-fiving, jumping out of that's what this team is going to do if they qualify for the race this year.
Yeah. Or remember, now I forget his name, but drove for Turley Motorsports. Ted Prappas.
He drove for Pig.
Well, that was Turley.
Oh, it was? All right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they became Turley Motorsports, but that Pig was Performance Investment Group, I think is what it was, and that was Mike Turley. But anyway, boy, that's going way back.
But Susan's loving this. I hope she's listening.
She's in the kitchen. But anyway, but they had no delusions that they were going to win the 500. And I heard in that interview the other night on Trackside where he said, "Well, I know that Roger Penske and Chip Ganassi did not say, oh, we're going to have to change everything we're doing now," which I thought was a pretty good line. But I hope and I hope I'm not misconstrued on what I said about Pippa. I hope they make it. I hope she makes it. I'd love to see this team make it.
Me too.
And if it's at the expense of, a Sam Schmidt, I'm not picking on Sam Schmidt, but they did make it last year, but a Sam Schmidt car, a Ray Hall car, so be it.
Right. There's another team as well that's going to be coming in flying blind too, although they'll be at the race in St. Pete. Is Dragon Sport?
Dragon Speed.
Dragon Speed. So there's a team that's never run IndyCar.
Yeah, Ben Hanley, is that his name?
Never been on an oval, and they've got a driver who, as far as I know, has never been on an oval. Yeah. Ben what?
Handley? Is that it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Somebody I'd never heard of before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams that have tall orders to qualify. And they're not going to gain anything really. St. Pete's not going to tell you anything about qualifying for Indianapolis.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't think they have another race before, but I could be mistaken on that.
I don't know.
I don't know their schedule.
Let's wrap this up. This is our first one. We don't want to make everybody not tune in for a second one, but supposed to keep these things short and sweet. But
it's preseason.
True. We had a lot to talk about.
We had a lot to talk about.
Yeah. But I mean, we sometimes carry on conversations longer than this, just out of nowhere.
Usually.
But anyway,
Hey, I got a good pointer for you.
pointer.
1989, Indianapolis 500. Jeff Brabham was slated to be the relief driver for Danny Sullivan. You never know when that tip might come in handy for someone.
No. Okay.
Just throwing
Um,
it out there.
huh?
I'm just throwing it out.
Okay. Tell me this. Same race, 1989.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last year that the defending sprint car champions team entered the 500.
Mm-hmm.
Team
Stoops Racing.
Stoops Express Racing.
Stoops Express. That
You're
is
correct.
There you go. You
Bonus
never know
points.
when these.
You remember the driver?
Uh, uh, well, not Stevie Reeves. It was. Was it Nate? Was it Stoops?
No,
Bill Stoops? Bob Stoops?
no. That was he was coach at Oklahoma.
Oh yeah. Right. No, I brought a book.
No, and I can't think of his. I think his first name was Steve. Steve Butler,
Oh yes. All right. Yeah. He was an old Thursday and Saturday Night Thunder guy.
something like that. Yeah. So anyway, see, I'm not driving this ship like I did with one take, like I do with one take only. But anything else?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Safe travels and enjoy St. Pete.
I plan to. This is Thursday night while we're taping, and a week from tonight we fly down there. So looking forward to it.
Enjoy it.
I plan to, and I know Susan does too. Anyway, so for Paul Dalby with Fielder 33, I am George Phillips with OilPressure.com, and we thank you for watching.
Thank you.